Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mowers and Blowers. I'm Henry, your host for today's show. This is a Craftsman 5 horsepower chipper slash shredder. I've had about 2 of these in my life, and both of them were in complete disarray. I've actually taken this apart to the last nut and bolt and reconditioned everything on the inside, even though it was completely rusty. This third one here that I got from my Mega Pick, Motherload 23, I picked up 5 items, all of which I have not yet started to work on. This will be the first one that I work on, only because it's the beginning of fall, and I think this might be in some demand, you know, getting rid of, you know, tree twigs and leaves and all that stuff. This has been the best condition one that I've ever gotten. In my previous video where I triage all 5 items to see what was wrong with it and to put in priority what needs to be fixed first in terms of demand. I kind of want to get this going because, well, I've always liked these vac chipper shredders, even though this is not a vac, it's a chipper shredder. But this at its time was probably worth about $500. You could still probably get 2, 3 maybe, depending on the condition. I'd be happy to get 150, 200 for it. The design is lousy because the carburetor mouth is pointed upwards. So any kind of moisture, rain that drips in there, it'll eventually find its way right into the mouth of the carburetor. Can't stop gravity. So as a result, it looks like from the rust residue that there's been quite a lot of water. And actually, if you look in there, you can see it kind of shiny. Since there's no gas in this tank, and it's also supposed to be sucked up, you know, the gas is supposed to be sucked up into the carburetor, I doubt very much that it's gas. So I think this thing is filled with water, and I'm going to start taking off that top part, that assembly, you know, the air filter base, eventually the carburetor and the fuel tank, and just see what we find. This is not going to be a long, drawn-out, step-by-step process. I'm just going to remove the stuff and show you. At least, hopefully, it won't be too long of a video. I don't want to spend more than 1 episode on this thing, you know? So what I have here on the right here is a small toolbox I found on the street, actually. It's not even a toolbox. It's just like a metal box with a handle on it. I thought it'd be pretty convenient to put my most often used tools, so I could just like move it around instead of having to go all the way to the garage to the tool chest to get it, you know. So I use those most often, so I just have it like that. Got my little baby chair here from Little Tykes. I'm only 5'7", so it works out perfect. Don't worry about my back, fellas. Just taking 4 5/16 bolts off, screws, to take off the air filter base. And here you'll find the top of the carburetor and its linkages. As you can see here, the throttle plate is kind of loose, and it's not moving. It's moving due to me moving this handle, due to the fact that this is seized. The butterfly flap to the choke is seized. It won't move. It's rusted shut, like right there. So that's why when you move this, the plate moves. Choke is also seized. Actually, this one's okay. The throttle, I try to unseize it by just working it a little bit. No, I'm going to break something. It's plastic. So, going to try to remove the entire gas tank with the carburetor on it. It resembles the type like a Pulsa jet on a lawnmower, you know, where the plastic carburetor is screwed in with 5 screws on top of the gas tank. It's similar to that. I'm going to try to just find whatever bolts are holding the gas tank and remove it. I hope I don't have to remove the muffler because As you guys know, mufflers are a pain in the butt. It's hard to get to, so I need this huge screwdriver to get the intake manifold bolts off. The other one, forget about it. It's in there, so you have to like remove this stuff here just to get there. There was a nut on the very bottom holding the gas tank, but it was so loose, just I used my fingers and took them out. There was a breather hose right over here, went over there, I just removed it, right? And then there's a couple of screws in here that hold the carburetor onto this thing. There's a heat shield over here that you can just take off, but I'll just leave it right here, it's not bothering me. But I don't see any other bolts holding this part of the carburetor to the gas tank, so I think it's better if I just try to remove this intake manifold off the engine block. I don't know how I'm going to get to that one in there, but I'll try. I managed to take 2 screws off of this. This is the throttle plate here, right? Loosened it up. There's a Z-bend on this linkage here for the choke plate. Glad I have this on video because there's no way I'd remember how to do this again. And it went there. So I'm just going to rotate it, let it rest over here. And then this gives me access to this bolt right over here. With my fingers I can kind of turn it a little. Or use a 3/8 wrench and slowly take it off. I mean, you couldn't get any harder to do this. I mean, they really don't want you to take it out. Now look, I want to tell you another thing. When I loosened the bolt off of this intake manifold, I saw fluid, whether it's gas or water, coming out. So this thing was completely flooded with some kind of fluid. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking it's water. So I think the whole thing is just flooded, you know, which is bad because if there's water in there, I mean, I hope there was Earl in there, you know, because oil will kind of coat it so that it won't be too bad. But look, I know it's getting sparked because remember it popped. It won't pop if there's no spark that ignites some of the fuel that we shot in there, you know. It wasn't fuel, it was a carb cleaner that I shot in there. So I know that we're getting spark, which is definitely a plus, you know. I'll work on getting this nut off. Okay. I just broke the seal. This is going to come off anyway. Okay. It's got a lever that's attached to the governor linkage. It's a Z-bend. It's very difficult to remove. I don't know how I'm going to remove it. Looks like I have a 5/16 thing here. It's a good thing I'm recording all this because so much going on over here, man. Come on, man. There we go. I just got to remember what I'm doing here. What is connected now? Unbelievable. The spring on the very bottom. There we go. Oh man. I hope I remember. See this spring here? Spring was connected to there. This was connected to the end of this. And I had a screw that fell. I don't know where it is now. Here's the gas tank. I just removed the last remaining screw that holds the carburetor onto the gas tank. This thing comes off of here. Remember that. Man, so many. See that? It's like a Pulsa jet. Remember where I put this. I put this here. Now, how on earth am I going to be able to see what the hell's in here?
Why don't you take the gas cap off, Henry? Oh yeah, the gas cap off.
Gas cap is off. And you got like this sponge. You guys know what the sponge is for? Act like a filter. Damn. It's huge. Oh! Ugh. Oh man, oh man. Jeez. Here, watch. Oh. Oh my god. There's another sponge in there. Oh. Oh my god. It's black and in shredded pieces. Oh my god. It's not black. But it is shredded. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna pour out what's in here. Let's see what's in there. Okay, I've got some rags on my new driveway and a soup container, and I'm gonna pour out what's in here. Which is mostly water. Come on, man. It's all rusted under there. Lots of it. Lots of rust. This is bad. Look at the stuff on the bottom. Man, it's rough. It smells like gas, but I don't know, I'm kind of surprised I don't see any water in there. Unless that is all water, you know, it just smells like gas. So, I don't know what to do now. How am I going to clean this so well that there's no sediment, you know? It's almost impossible, short of getting a new gas tank, you know? I mean, you can't even get to the whole thing, you know? How are you going to clean it completely? Stuff in there. I have a bottle of like old gas, you know. Pour the whole thing in there and just like agitate for a while. Soak it for a day or two. Could do that. Could pour some of this liquid back in here and slosh it around after I agitated that. Just the top part, you know. See that? Once I've agitated that, look at that. I know most of you are saying, what are you, crazy? You're not going to be able to fix that. Forget about it. Throw it away. And you know what? I'm almost there. I'm almost like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should just forget about it. Because this is trash, you know? Trash. So much crap in here, man. I'm just pouring the liquid in, sloshing it around. Let's get as much of that crap out as possible. I mean, it's starting to look okay, but I mean, look, the sediment in there, all the pieces are gonna slowly come off and get sucked right into the carburetor. I think maybe that's what the sponges are for. If you put the sponges in there, it'll keep all the sediment from on the bottom and not float to the top. Whereas with the carburetor, the Pulsa jet thing will suck up the fuel and just use the fuel, and it acts like a filter. I think that's what it is. Get away from me, man. There's a bee right in my face. You know, if I keep doing this, it'll get cleaner. I'm going to do this for a while. I'm going to get my my supply of old gas out. So this part right here, you know, the little bowl area, was almost a ½ an inch thick, full of sediment. So I've just been pouring gas into this area and using the screwdriver and just slowly grinding it all down nice and clean, so that's kind of smooth now. Before it was like rigid because it was filled with like rust. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's almost clean now. So I've just been pouring fuel back and forth. I know it's the yucky fuel, but you know, I'm just using it to look at what was in the gas tank. Almost 2 inches thick, full of I don't know, it's like sponge bits and rust. Look at that. Is that crazy or what? Was all in this gas tank. So I've just been sitting here sloshing the fuel around, using the screwdriver, scraping the bottom like a bottom feeder, you know. Just pouring it out again. Back and forth, back and forth. You know, it's actually much better. Then I could stuff that, I could wring out that sponge with some fresher gas and stuff it back in there, and that'll hold the sediment down. I think that's what that's for. Just help it along a little. Just at least what I can reach. I can only do what I can do, right? It's starting to get pretty clean though. No more sediment. This carburetor, the flap seized. Tons of gum, rust. I'm going to use some penetrating oil. Penetrating oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Just going to get that joint there that's supposed to turn. Oh hell, I'm just going to do the whole damn thing. Joints here. This is seized, won't move, right? See the bubbling? That's when you know it's working. It's working its way into those areas. Starting to move a little bit. See that? I know I'm going to forget where this went. I'm just going to keep it in there. Starting to move. It's more of an internal thing though. The joint inside is corroded and rusted. Just going to coat the whole thing. This plate still ain't moving. I don't want to bend it. Put some torch tip cleaners and managed to get this through the hole. It was blocked before. This is the main jet. This part here is what sucks the fuel into this area here, and I don't know seems like it's clear. I'm gonna remove these because that's where the diaphragms are. Just removed the screws and broke the seal. I'm going to be very careful because, oh, that's not good. I just lifted a little bit and I saw like dust. Could be worse. Clean all this stuff out. This choke plate just was not turning at all, so I had to pull it out. It's bent anyway. Pull it out like that. So hopefully I can get this shaft out too without breaking it. I wonder if they make this carburetor, you know, aftermarket, because it would save me a lot of time and effort by doing all this if I just bought a new carburetor. Put it on there. Should have looked at it before I did. I've been at this for some time now, but I finally got this loosened up. I took the whole plate out, and while it's still not super easy to turn, it turns and moves. So the choke plate opens and closes, and the throttle, watch this, before you couldn't move it, now you can move it. It's still, there's resistance of course, you know, but I figured if you keep moving it around with some penetrating oil from my friends at Lucas Oil Products, it'll start to work. It's still kind of dirty, but you know what? You can only do so much, you know. Clean this area here. This diaphragm was all white on the inside, still kind of white, right? This hole was completely blocked with white stuff. This part here, those two holes in there, completely packed with white stuff. White stuff is usually water. So you know what, I'm going to do what I can, and there's only so much you can do if you don't have brand new parts for this stuff, you know. And I'm just going to put it together and just see, you know, maybe it'll fire up. So it took me a while, but I think I got it all back together again. There's just so many linkages, and it has to go in a certain way. You have to loosen a bolt here, or loosen a bolt there, just to get the Z-bend in there, you know. I had to go back to the video again and look at it because I wasn't sure where all the linkages went. So check this out. Before everything was seized, right? So here's the choke. Watch the choke plate. Open the choke. Close the choke. So that now moves. Okay. Here's the throttle on the bottom. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is this one right here. I mean, it moves, but it's not like super smooth, you know. So this governor will move by itself depending on the engine running, you know what I'm saying? I'm just worried that it won't move by itself. So it may either rev too high or won't start because it's stuck. So I'm gonna put it in the middle, like right around here. It's starting to move a little bit by itself, see? Little. you know, when it's under load, whatever, while it's moving, the engine, the vacuum. So this should move by itself, hopefully. But it's starting to loosen up. I flooded it with penetrating oil. So I put the sponge back in there, only because it's supposed to be in there for a reason, right? And now I have to put the breather tube in. It's supposed to go in here under there, tighten that up. Goes into that hole over there. Anyway, it has to clip onto that thing. Heat shield had to go on. The same bolt that holds the breather tube on. So I had to remove that again just to put this plate in there because it's secured on there. So I think I got everything perfectly on there. Everything's been cleaned. Although I'm using the same diaphragms as before because there's no way I have these diaphragms, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Clean the gas tank, clean the carburetor, put everything back together again, greased it, unseized a lot of the butterfly flaps. Guess I'm gonna just put some gas in it. I mean, there's no fuel lines because it just sucks up the gas from the tank up this thing, you know? That thing, the long thing that sucks up the gas, it does have a mesh thing on it, and I cleaned it. And also all the holes in the carburetor, I blew them out. So, I mean, maybe it might work. Guess I can only find out one way, is just by putting gas in it and see. Okay, I put gas in it. Confidence? 65% that it'll start. Here we go. Run. Choke. Gas. I think I need to help it. I think with these things you need some liquid in the you know, that thing. Well, I had more on that first try, right? At least it popped before. Nothing. Oh well. I guess I'm gonna keep on at it. Keep on trying it.
That doesn't work!
So I just came out here into the garage and I didn't see or hear anything. But apparently my buddy Jason Pate of Pate's Performance, he drilled the hole for me in the adapter and just dropped it off. Didn't even say hello. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man. Anyway, so looky here. Alright, so before I started making this video today, right, I was reading the comments on my YouTube comments. And Pete Lombardi says, "Hey Henry, looks like your intake valve is stuck open." And I said to myself, now how the hell do you know that? Because, you know, it's from that triage video where I just pull it and stuff and you heard the, you know, and I says, "No man, there's water in there." He goes, "Well, the water goes in there and causes the intake valve to stick open." And I says, think to myself, how do you know that from looking at that for just a second, you know? So I thought he was crazy, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, you guys saw I was trying to pull start this thing. It didn't seem like there was any sign of it wanting to start. So I took the spark plug out and I shined a flashlight in there, right? And all I could see from the hole is the piston moving up and down, right? And that's it. You could see like a quarter of the semicircle of the intake valve, and guess what? It was stuck open, just like he said. So, I mean, Pete, you're unbelievable, man. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you always know this stuff. But it was stuck open. So I I took penetrating oil and just completely shot it in there. Just drenched the whole thing. Soaked the entire area. And then put the spark plug back and let it sit for a while and brew, and tried to pull this a couple of times, you know, just to let it swirl around and slosh around. Took it back out. And then I took a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and a hammer, and just tapped the valve until it seated again. Then I would pull it up and it would pop up, and then it wouldn't go back down again, so I'd just keep tapping it and tapping it. Pull it, goes up, tap it, up, tap it, up, tap, keep tapping it, tapping it, tapping. Then I shot more penetrating oil through the hole because I didn't want to take the head off because I'd have to get a head gasket. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see if I can do this first. If that didn't work, then I would take the head off, you know? But I wanted to try and do it this way first. So it started to loosen up, the valve. It still wouldn't go back down by itself. You had to, you know, bang it down, right? But then after a while of doing it, I did about half an hour, 40 minutes or so, right? I kept the screwdriver on the valve, pulled it, and it was going like this, right? But I was pushing down as it was going like that. And then I sprayed more and more and more, and I kept on going like this and like this and like this. And then eventually, I took the screwdriver out and I was pulling it, and the valve was going up and down, all by itself. So I freed up the intake. But you know what? Still doesn't start. Pops a few times and stuff, but I hear a gurgling, like there's a ton of Earl in the muffler, you know, right around the exhaust area, in the exhaust manifold. There's an exhaust valve, right? Maybe that's stuck open too. So maybe I might have to take the head off after all and just take a look. When I sprayed all that penetrating oil in here, I mean a ton of that Earl went into the carburetor here and was like bubbling up like this, you know. So, I mean, I think there's like penetrating oil everywhere. It's all around here, it's in the carburetor, it went down into the gas tank, so, and I don't want to take this gas tank off again. It was a pain to take this apart. I don't even want to. I don't want to do it. But I will take the head off and see, right? But I'm not taking this off. If I have to, I'll flip this damn thing upside down and just spray the whole damn thing with brake cleaner or carb cleaner and just flush the whole thing out upside down somewhere, you know? Without taking that apart. You know, I'm kind of thinking, what if I took the, you know, that push snowblower engine? Now, that's a good engine on there. What if I put that engine on here? That would be an interesting project, wouldn't it? The gas tank would get in the way of this, as you can just see. You know, the gas tank. Tecumseh gas tank is on the right-hand side. The Briggs one doesn't have a gas tank on the right-hand side; it's on the left-hand side. And also, since you know this is like this slow pull, would that work that same way too? You know. I gave it a gallant effort. It still needs some work, but I'm not going to do it today. I got to go to my daughter's soccer game. But it's cool though, man. I like it. I thought it would start too. But I got to rip that head off, but I'll leave that to a next episode. That carburetor and tank was really a pain to get off and clean. I mean, really a pain. I almost want to take that engine off and put it here. That's what I want to kind of do. Because that's a good engine, man. You just pull it and starts. Has electric start too. That'd be interesting, huh? Hey, you guys, comment and tell me if that's possible. Take that Tecumseh engine off of that thing and put it on here. What do you think? See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey guys, support my channel. Buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next project. Have a great day.